So today we are counting down the top 10 punishments so horrifying they made the executioners quit. We're going from uncomfortably bad to genuinely what is wrong with people. Fair warning, some of these are deeply unpleasant. You have been warned. Number 10, we are starting soft. This one comes from ancient Greece, 570 BC. Invented by a guy named Perillus of Athens. He walked up to the tyrant Phalaris and said, "Hey, I made something cool." He was not lying. He had crafted a hollow bronze bull, life-sized, with a door on the side. You put the prisoner inside, lock the door, and light a fire underneath. The bull heats up slowly. He installed a system of tubes inside the bull's head, and here is the design feature that truly shows what Perillus was working with up there. So as the prisoner screamed, these screams were converted by the tubes into sounds that came out of the bull's mouth. The bull appeared to be alive. The crowd watching thought it was entertainment. And now for the part where the executioners quit. Phalaris looked at Perillus, nodded and said, "Let's test it." And then he shoved Perillus inside. The man who built it became its first victim. The executioner who was meant to operate it refused and walked off. Some things you just can't come back from. Number 9, being buried alive. You've heard of it. That's nothing new. Okay, but have you heard of the Roman version? Because the Romans didn't just bury people, they engineered being buried alive into a full theatrical production. It's a Vestal Virgin. If a Vestal Virgin, one of Rome's sacred priestesses, broke her vow of chastity, the law said she could not be executed directly, because spilling her blood would be a sin. So Rome found a workaround that was somehow much, much worse. They would build a small underground chamber, furnish it, put in a bed, a candle, some bread, a little water, make it look almost livable. Then they would lower her inside, seal the entrance, and walk away. Technically, she died of natural causes. Rome went home and had dinner. Number 8, Imperial China. A punishment so notorious it has its own Wikipedia page and its own section in the dictionary under Do Not. It's called Ling Chi, translated the slow process, or poetically, death of 1,000 cuts. This was reserved exclusively for the absolute worst crimes: treason, murdering a parent. The execution was designed to take hours, possibly all day. Small cuts precisely placed, non-fatal, repeated methodically in front of a public crowd. But here is the part that most people don't know. The executioner had to be state certified. There was a skill test. You had to demonstrate you could perform the procedure in the exact correct sequence, at the exact correct depth. It was a professional qualification in cutting people. Number 7, medieval Europe, the Spanish Inquisition, which I know nobody expects. The Judas cradle, a pyramidal metal seat, pointed at the top, onto which prisoners were slowly lowered by a rope over hours, sometimes days. The prisoner was never left unattended, because if they lost consciousness, someone would lift them and start again. What made this unique wasn't just the device. It was the job of the guard operating the rope. He controlled the pace entirely. He could slow it, stop it, start it again. For others, it was considered a psychologically scarring position. Inquisition records actually note shortages of personnel willing to operate it. Number 6, also medieval Europe. Also the Spanish Inquisition, who were frankly overrepresented on this list. The Pier of Anguish was a pear-shaped metal device split into segments. It was inserted, and I apologize for what I'm about to say, into whatever opening the inquisitors felt appropriate. Then a screw on the outside was turned. As the screw turned, the segments expanded slowly. The device could be left in place for extended periods. What is remarkable is that multiple museum pieces exist today, and modern historians have noted that many appear too fragile to have actually been used as instruments of torture. Number 5, ancient Persia. You have heard of Scaphism? Honey, milk, lake, bugs. But there is a variant that makes the original look considerate, and it was used specifically on Persian nobles who betrayed the king. Instead of one boat, they used two, hollowed to fit the person like a shell, arms and legs protruded. But the noble version included forced feeding for weeks before the actual punishment, building up body fat deliberately to extend the duration of what came next. The Greek historian Plutarch described a variation in which a Persian official named Mithridates survived the full procedure for 17 days before dying. His guards were rotated every 6 hours because none could tolerate a full shift. 17 days. Number 4. Multiple civilizations independently, because human creativity has no geographic boundaries. We all know the rat in a bowl concept from the 80 Years' War. But during the rule of Argentinian dictator Videla in the late 1970s, the state security developed what they called the rectoscope. The device, a metal sheep, a rat placed inside, the tube inserted, the rat, panicked and desperate for warmth, would proceed inward. Prisoners were simultaneously expected to answer questions. While this was happening, the people running this program were apparently completely serious. Number 3, the Byzantine Empire. Blinding. Not quick blinding, deliberate, methodical blinding using a heated copper ball held close to the eyes until the heat destroyed the optic nerve. The purpose was specific. Blinded men could not be emperor. It was considered more merciful than execution. The blinded rivals were often kept alive in monasteries, cared for, even visited. Number 2. Multiple cultures, Rome, Persia, medieval Europe, sewing. The concept is exactly what you think. What makes this historically distinctive is the orientation. Prisoners were hung upside down first. The reason was physiological and calculated. Inverted position keeps blood flowing to the brain for longer, dramatically extending consciousness throughout the procedure. Roman texts describe it clinically like a recipe. To prolong is the exact phrase used. They were optimizing this. Number 1, and this is where we arrive not at the most physically painful entry on this list, but the most psychologically sophisticated. This is the oubliette, the forget-me room, with one specific variation documented in a single French castle in the late 15th century. That is, frankly, the most diabolical thing I have ever read in my life. Standard oubliettes. Sealed room, darkness, starvation, horrible. But this specific variation, documented at Chateau de Loches, involved a cell with a door that was left unlocked. Not locked, unlocked. But the door opened into a sealed chamber with no exit. You could leave your cell, you just went from one room of nothing to another room of nothing. The psychological engineering of this is almost academic. The guards responsible for the variation reportedly asked to be reassigned within weeks. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe. We are doing the most insane trials in history next week. And if you want more or whatever this was, leave a comment. See you then.